We have had another Rumour engine picture, and this one is a little bit odd because it's one we pretty much already 100% know what it is. And as you can see, there is this rather quirky looking gun, which at first glance you could possibly mistake as something maybe Mechanicus oriented, but is actually very clearly an Ork custom shock rifle, as sported here on the, I want to say, newish shock jump dragster. I thought this originally when I was doing this video that these vehicles, the buggies, came out in 2020. I've just looked, apparently they came out in 2018, which just makes me feel really old, but these are still relatively new, all things considered, and they do look awesome. But you can very clearly see this is the exact same gun as the one they are showing in this Rumour engine picture, so it's really obvious to me anyway that this is definitely what it is. It has the same buttons along the side, it has the same coils near the muzzle, and just the same generic design. So from that, I think it's fair to say there are definitely going to be some brand new Ork kits coming in 10th edition. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into the actual rules of what I expect this to be, because of course we don't know, but from what we've seen of other weapons going into 10th, I imagine it is going to largely stay the same as now. I would expect something like 2 shots, strength 8, minus 2 AP, and d6 damage, so it's probably going to lose a pip of AP and then maybe gain something like the devastating wounds rule that we've seen shown off on a few other things to replace the more wordy mortal wound output that it has now. But rules aside, I'm more interested what this means in terms of models, because I think that is a more interesting question. This gun at the moment is only on the shock jump dragster. It is not an option at all on any other Ork model. And it is a bit of a big gun. There is a grot shooting it there, but it is mounted on this bigger vehicle, so it definitely has got quite a bit of heft and weight behind it. So is this going to be a purely vehicle mounted weapon? And does that mean there is going to be some more buggies coming over the horizon? Maybe some new Speed Freak style buggies, or maybe just some replacement trucks or battle wagons or other sort of rhino style transport vehicles? Or is it something else completely? I've had a couple of ideas about what it could be and what it could be put on, and one of them is very much like the Space Marine attack bikes. What if there is a new unit coming which is in between the Ork bikers and something like these buggies in terms of size? Maybe some kind of war track style vehicle, and as you can see on the screen now, there is a plethora of options for GW to choose from, which could be big enough to sport one of these and be almost like a Space Marine attack bike, just slightly differently designed, with the big gun, instead of being in a sidecar, being carried around sort of on the back of it. And I think one thing that we've seen from GW in recent years is that they certainly are keen to update and base a lot of their newer designs and models on things that we know from the past, specifically things from sort of 3rd or 2nd edition, or, you know, maybe even Gorka Morka, stuff that older fans of the hobbies will look back on and kind of have rose-tinted glasses about, but that they've updated so that newer fans of the hobby still think look really cool and interesting and new. So I do think them taking inspiration from some of these older vehicles and doing something which is sort of in between the bike and the buggy size would actually be something that would make a lot of sense for the Orks, and that I think GW would be possibly quite keen to do, and that could certainly be a place where they put this gun on the back of it to act as a sort of heavy weapon option for that new vehicle. Another option I thought was possible is maybe some even heavier style mega armored knobs, or maybe just a new kit with some extra options. Maybe they could have, like Space Marine Terminators have an option for 1 in 5 to have an assault cannon or a cyclone missile launcher. There will maybe be a 1 in 3 option of the mega armored knobs now having a heavier weapon, and this could be one of them. So you'd have 2 with their combi weapons, and 1 could take this as maybe a big 2-handed weapon to bring some even heavier firepower to the mix. Or it might not even be mega armored knobs, it could be a bigger unit still, something like the Space Marine Centurions, love them or hate them, that would be, I suppose with Orks it's a bit difficult because you've got the Killikans as that middle ground. But I mean, there could be some other unit that they add to the Orks that is between sort of a Mega Armored Knob and a Killikan and a Death Dread. Or maybe it will just be an HQ option and there will be a new big mech that has this as some sort of shoulder mounted weapon as he's off, repairing vehicles around. And we've certainly seen with the new big war boss in Mega Armor that they can do much bigger, sort of chunkier models. And on a model that size, I think this weapon would actually look pretty good. It would look hefty enough to kind of show how important and strong he is, but it wouldn't look too unwieldy just because of how big some of the newer Ork models are. The final thing that I thought of, and this is again going back to models that are a little bit old and that could maybe do with an update, there is a really old resin kit that is in desperate need of an update, and that is of course the Ork Tank Busters. So what if they brought out a brand new, updated, awesome plastic kit for them, but now they didn't just have to take rockets or their pistol rockets or their tank hammers or whatever they're called, but in addition, what if they could take these big custom shock rifles to add some different heavy weapons to the mix? I think that would be really cool for the Tank Busters because it would give them a bit more of a Devastator feel in that you could mix and match the weapons. It would maybe step on Looters' feet a little bit, but for me, Looters have always been sort of anti-infantry focused, whereas the Tank Busters are obviously at that slightly higher strength point, so maybe they could be the true Devastator squads of the Orks and not just have rockets, but have the shock rifles to, add some even heftier sort of punch to their guns. So I think there is actually quite a few unique, interesting places I could see this weapon showing up. Arguably, it could potentially be something that you see on an infantry squad, on a bike squad, on vehicles, maybe even on Ork flyers. The thing about Orks is that you never really know where a weapon is going to show up and just be plonked onto the chassis or given into the arms of a grot or whatever. But I do think it is fair to say we are 100% going to see a new shock rifle toting unit at some point in 10th edition. So where do you think it is going to show up, and what do you think is going to be carrying it? Is it going to be a vehicle? Is it going to be a grot? Is it going to be some new thing that we've never even thought of or heard of before? I would really love to know your thoughts, your theories, and your ideas. Let me know down in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.